It's been 4 years since you announced Blade. 4.5 years since they announced Blade. We're still kind of waiting on stuff to come around. But apparently, we are now hearing what the movie may be about. Now, of course, there's been some dancing and hopping and all that kind of stuff. Apparently, there was a story, then they hated it, they got rid of it, started again, then they brought in new writers, and they've gone again. Mahershala Ali wasn't happy for a while. Now he's saying he's happy. Because you got to keep a two-time Academy Award-winning actor Mahershala Ali happy.
Yeah.
Damn right you do. And now, according to some reports at any rate, we're getting what this movie might be about. This comes to us from Joe Blow, who writes the following. Now the project seems to be rolling towards production again, and industry scooper Daniel Richmond has revealed some details. According to his Patreon report, Blade is an R-rated period piece, which goes against what Kevin Feige said a couple years ago. Remember, he said that Blade wouldn't be rated R. He said only Deadpool will be rated R. They seem to have softened their stance on that. Blade is an R-rated period piece that will tell the story of Lilith, the big villain of the movie. That's who a lot of people are speculating Mia Goth is going to play. That Lilith going after Blade's daughter's blood to create an army of daywalkers. Lilith's weapon will apparently be the ebony blade, which was previously, of course, featured at the end of the Eternals. All right. So there were some reports that were going around earlier that a previous draft of the film really had Lilith or Blade's daughter as the main character in the film. At least that's what they said. And they decided to go back and redo things. I know there are going to be some very, very, very insecure girly boys out there who are going to be upset hearing that Blade's daughter, guys, calm down. Many, 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 many movies. If you just read a quip synopsis, if you read the synopsis of Die Hard, it could be John McClane's wife is at her, business Christmas dinner when terrorists come and take over. John's got to rescue her. Say the movie's about John McClane's wife. No, it's about John McClane. Don't worry. I have a feeling this will be very much about Blade and him trying to keep his daughter safe and all that kind of stuff. So we'll see where that goes. Look, it also needs to be pointed out, the MCU did not put this out. So this may or may not be accurate. It might be old information. Might be for a previous draft. Now, the idea of going after, say, Blade's daughter, I saw somebody online write this, and it raises a good point, saying, why wouldn't she just go after Blade if she wants Daywalker blood? Well, if I had the choice of going after Blade or his kid, I am personally going after his kid. And then it's going to be up to Blade, of course, to protect her, take down Lilith, all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, this is fine. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's episode, MasterClass. Everyone, it's a new year. So picture that thing that you've always wanted to learn. Now, picture learning it from a person who's literally one of the best in the world at it. And that's what you get with MasterClass. This year, learn from the best to become your best with MasterClass. Don't just talk about improving. MasterClass helps you actually do it. Because MasterClass offers over 180 world-class instructors, so whether you want to master negotiation with Chris Voss, like I did, think like a boss with Martha Stewart, or learn the art of storytelling from the man himself, Neil Gaiman, MasterClass has you covered. Because with MasterClass, you get unlimited access to intimate one-on-one classes with the world's best. At MasterClass, there are over 200 classes to pick from, with new classes being added every month. And if you're a viewer of the John Campea Show, you probably love movie making, storytelling, television. So you would be totally interested in things like screenwriting from Aaron Sorkin, learn developing original TV series from Stranger Things' The Duffer Brothers, or maybe you like the music side of movies, well, you can learn film scoring from Hans Zimmer. And right now, our listeners will get an additional 15% off an annual membership at masterclass.com/Campea. Get 15% off right now at masterclass.com/Campea. masterclass.com/Campea. I gotta tell you, Rob, the only thing I don't like that I'm hearing here, period piece. Mm-hmm. I don't want a period piece. Now, granted, I say that having not read the script. Maybe this movie will be perfection. It'll become my favorite movie of all time. I'm just saying, before seeing the movie, I don't like hearing period piece. I want to hear that this takes place after that post-credit scene in Eternals. I want to hear this happening in the current MCU. And how far back are they going to go? What is period piece? Is it the 1500s? Is it the 50 BC? Is it 1975? I mean, I just have no idea.
2005, man. That's a period piece.
2005 is a period piece. Now, okay, other than that, this sounds perfectly fine. Rob, what did you think of it?
I think that initially I'm like, okay, but the question that immediately popped into my head was, how could the Daywalker have a child with another Daywalker? Because that means that if you have a child with somebody, if they're fully human, the daughter would have less Daywalker blood in her. Like, I don't understand how Blade can have a daughter that's a Daywalker. I don't understand that. And I guess it's because I don't know in any vampire mythology where vampires can procreate. So immediately I know he's half human.
Have you not watched Twilight, Rob? I am very disappointed in you.
I get it, but
Twilight makes it very clear
they're not they are vampires that can go in the sun.
Right.
So it's
so for Daywalkers.
For me, that while it'd be like, you know what, John, this makes it sound like what if you had like a Star Wars show about Obi-Wan Kenobi and somebody said, well, Obi-Wan Kenobi's going to go after little Princess Leia to rescue her. Oh, right. They did that.
You don't think Blade goes to Pound Town?
Okay. It's not that. It's just.
But there are many, even in real life, there are many genetic traits that if one parent has it and the other doesn't, the kid still gets it. Right?
Of
so
course.
That's not a stretch.
But I'm just saying, like, it brings up a question about vampire mythology. Okay. And I think that in the and this is what I've been saying from the very beginning. We need to establish. We've now seen Werewolf by Night. We've seen Agatha Harkness, and we're getting the Darkhold Diaries. We need to establish how the supernatural works in the MCU. And maybe this movie's going to go a long way toward doing that. And I don't mean to be flippant, but in all honesty, if this is a period piece, that means vampirism and daywalkers have been around for a long time. So again, I would ask, were they a part of the Thanos snap? If you're someone who's already dead, which is what a vampire really is, they're the undead and they come back to life, would they have been affected? I don't know. The Thanos snap?
Because he had the soul stone. If they don't have a soul, then maybe not.
Well, that's a question, and I think that
it'd be fun if they brought that up. It doesn't have to be in the synopsis, but it'd be fun if they brought that up.
Well, no, I think that they have to, because one of the things that I've always been bitching and moaning and complaining about with Phase 4 and Phase 5 with the MCU is they keep extending all of this stuff that just makes us ask more questions. And for this, like, they did set up Blade, and they set up the Blade at the end of Eternals that also ties into symbiotes. Obviously, that's the Sonyverse, but I really wish that they'd been doing a little bit more to weave in the idea of the supernatural. And you know what? Maybe I'm sensitive for this because over the weekend I got the Omnibus Axe Judgment Day, which is the Avengers, X-Men, and Eternals huge miniseries, and I'm really loving it. And Druig, who's commanding the Eternals, decides the X-Men have to die because in the Hickman era, the Eternals are going after true deviance. You know, if true deviancy happens, and the mutants have proven that when they defeat death that they're too far along the deviant line, so they have to be destroyed. That's what the Eternals are supposed to do. And I was reading this going, what do the deviants think? If the deviants are the source of the X gene and the source of all this stuff, what do they think of the supernatural? So do the Eternals cover, like if the Eternals have been on Earth in the MCU for as long as they have.
This is a very deep rabbit hole.
I know, I'm sorry. But how do they deal with the supernatural? And again, if the MCU, and we saw this Blade introduced in the Eternals, do the Eternals have any oversight over supernatural stuff?
Well, I mean, the movie hasn't happened to give us any of these answers yet, though, right? And I want to point this out, too. To your point about him having a daughter, that this brings into question vampire mythology. I would say the character Blade himself is a big contradiction to classic vampire mythology, right?
Right, but the vampires in the Blade thing are more classic.
I know, but I'm just saying, in the canon of vampire mythology, Blade himself is a contradiction, right? He is half human, half vampire, can walk all their strengths. What do they say in the Wesley movie? All their strengths, none of their weaknesses. Right? All at the same time. So
I just thank you for allowing me to go down this rabbit hole this morning,
I mean,
John.
that was great. By the way, it's a good series.
Is there a chance you think this is a one and done for Mahershala Ali? And at the end, let's just say this is what the movie's about. That it's like a passing of a torch to his daughter, and the daughter become a part of the Young Avengers or something like that.
Okay, here's the thing. It is possible. It is possible that they're doing that. I would hate it because how can you pass the torch when you haven't started the
Yeah,
race?
I know. But
I mean,
it sounds
like it's one thing. Like, look, I'm not looking forward to Ironheart, okay? But there is an argument to be made there, right? Robert Downey Jr.'s Tony Stark had been around in the MCU for over a decade, multiple movies. So if you do want to bring in, and well, the jury's out about whether it'll work or not. But if you want to have that character then pass the torch, I get it. Mahershala, I really hope they're not using this movie, which is literally the starting gate of Mahershala Ali in the MCU, to also be the one that he passes the torch. That, I think, will piss a lot of people off. And quite frankly, I think it would be a bad movie.
I only bring that up because of his age, right? And also how long he's been waiting to make this movie. I don't think he wants to wait a couple more years to make a second one or whatever. He wants to probably move on, but we'll see. We'll see what happens with this movie.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.